The city was silent. Too silent. Not a single human walked the streets. Shops stood open, lights flickering, but the usual hum of life was gone. It was as if the world had paused, holding its breath. Only the wind whispered through the empty buildings, carrying faint echoes of the life that once was. High above the city, in a grand hall built of shining metal and strange glowing crystals, the council gathered. 7 figures sat around a massive circular table. Each wore robes that shimmered in dim light, and their eyes flickered with worry. They were not humans. They had never been humans. And yet, this sudden emptiness filled them with a strange fear. "Where are they?" asked Lyran, the youngest council member, her voice trembling. One moment the humans were everywhere. The next, nothing. A low hum filled the room as another council member, Kale, examined a holographic map of the city. Tiny blue dots marked human activity, but now they were gone. "I don't understand," Kale said. "Their machines are still running. Their homes are still full, but they're not here. They just vanished." Silence fell. Even in the council, silence was rare. And in that silence, a sense of dread settled. Then a faint flicker appeared on one of the holographic screens. A single pulse of light, weak and irregular. Lyran leaned forward. "Is that a human signal?" she asked. Kale shook his head slowly. "It's too weak. Could be a glitch. But maybe someone is still out there." A shiver ran through the council. No one wanted to admit the thought aloud. What if the humans hadn't just vanished? What if something had taken them? The oldest member of the council, an imposing figure named the Rose, slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot waste time guessing. Humans are gone. Whether they left or something else took them, we must prepare for what comes next. Their disappearance, it will change everything." Outside the hall, the wind carried an unusual sound, like distant whispering. The council members glanced at each other. None of them had heard anything like this before. It was soft, almost like a warning. Kale adjusted the hologram, zooming into a human residential area. Streets that had been crowded hours ago were now empty. Cars sat abandoned, their engines still warm. Doors swung open in the breeze. And in the shadows of a tall building, Lyran thought she saw a figure. A human? No, it was gone before she could focus. "See," Lyran whispered. "Someone, or something, is still here." The council fell into uneasy silence again. Their mission had always been to observe and study humans. They had watched the rise of human technology, the growth of human cities, and the strange resilience of the species. But now the observers had become unsure, even afraid. The Rose stood and walked to a tall window overlooking the city. "We thought we understood humans. We thought we could predict them. But they have left us with nothing, and everything is possible now." A soft alarm chimed in the hall. Kale turned to the console. Data streamed in. Movement detected in the central city square. Not human movement. Something else. Something fast. Something intelligent. The council members tensed. No human could move that quickly. And yet the readings were clear. Something, or someone, was active. Lyran's eyes narrowed. "We need to investigate," she said. "If they left a message, a warning, we have to find it." The Rose shook his head. "No. Too risky. We do not know what we are dealing with. We must wait, observe, and prepare." But deep down, all of them knew waiting could be dangerous. Humans had vanished without a trace. Their absence was more than mysterious. It was a threat. And threats, once ignored, had a way of growing. As the council debated, the faint human signal pulsed again on the screen. This time it was stronger. More urgent. The council members leaned closer, their faces pale in the blue glow. The signal formed a pattern, coordinates perhaps? A map? Or a warning? Then the lights in the hall flickered. Shadows danced across the walls. A low rumble shook the building. The council froze. The city outside seemed to respond as if it were alive. "Whatever took the humans," the Rose whispered, "it is not finished." Outside in the empty streets the wind picked up. Doors banged open and closed. Lights flickered in abandoned buildings. And somewhere just out of sight, a shadow moved, watching the council with silent patience. No one knew if it was human. No one knew if it was friend or foe. But one thing was certain. The council's life and perhaps the fate of the entire world had just changed forever. And in that silence the humans were gone, but the consequences had only just begun. The council sat in uneasy silence after the strange signals from the empty city. The flickering hologram showed nothing but abandoned streets and silent buildings, yet the feeling of being watched hung heavily in the air. Kale broke the silence first. "We cannot ignore this. Someone, or something, is still active in the human cities. We need to send scouts immediately. The Roche shook his head slowly, his eyes narrowing. No. Too dangerous. We do not know what remains behind. Humans may be gone, but their technology, their traps, anything could still exist. Sending scouts blindly is foolish. Lyron's hands clenched. But we cannot sit here. If humans left a message or a warning, we could miss it. We have to act before it's too late. The debate grew heated. Some council members argued for exploration, to uncover what humans left behind. Others warned that haste could trigger disaster. The council, known for wisdom and patience, was now divided. Then the lights in the hall flickered again, more violently this time. Shadows danced along the walls, elongating like fingers reaching for the council. A low, mechanical hum vibrated through the floor. Every member froze. The room felt alive, almost aware of their fear. Kale stepped forward. See? The city reacts to us. The humans, or whatever remains, they are testing us. Watching us. Lyron nodded, a chill running down her spine. We cannot waste any more time. We need to know what we are dealing with. The Rose raised a hand, silencing them. And if it is a trap? Humans have always been clever. Perhaps their disappearance was no accident. Perhaps they planned this, for us. The room fell silent again. Everyone understood the weight of his words. Humans were unpredictable. They had survived wars, plagues, and disasters that would have destroyed other species. If they vanished, there was a reason. And that reason could be dangerous. A faint flicker appeared on one of the holograms again. Lyron leaned closer, recognizing patterns she had not noticed before. Strange symbols flashed across the screen like a code. She pointed at it. This is a message. Humans left us something. Kale examined the code. It is not simple. But it is deliberate. Someone or something wants us to see it. Perhaps a warning, or a test. The council murmured among themselves. Arguments rose and fell. Some wanted to follow the message immediately, others feared the consequences. Each member felt the pressure of the unknown. Then a shadow passed across the hall's windows. No sound accompanied it. Only a momentary blur of motion. The council's eyes widened. No human could move that fast. It is not human, the Rose whispered, his voice tight with tension. Whatever it is intelligent, and it is watching us. Lyron's heart pounded. She had seen shadows move in the city before, but this was different. Here the shadows were closer. They felt deliberate, like a warning, or a threat. Kale's hands shook slightly as he adjusted the hologram. More patterns appeared, like an unfolding map, pointing to the center of the city. Coordinates, he said. It leads somewhere, a place humans wanted us to see. Or something else did. The Rose stood, pacing slowly. We face a choice. We can follow this path, risking everything for knowledge, or we can wait, observe, and hope the danger passes. But waiting may not be safe either. Humans, or whatever remains, have planned this. And we are caught in the middle. The room grew colder, the shadows stretching as if sensing the debate. The council members looked at one another, fear and curiosity mixing. Each of them knew that whichever path they chose, nothing would be the same. Lyron spoke again, her voice firm. We cannot ignore the message. Humans, or what is left of them, are asking for something. We must respond even if we do not understand the consequences. The Rose paused, considering her words. Slowly he nodded. Very well. But we proceed carefully. Every step must be measured. One wrong move, and the consequences could destroy more than just us. The council agreed, though unease lingered in the room like a heavy fog. Outside, the empty city seemed to pulse with life, responding to the council's decisions. Somewhere, far below, machines whirred. Lights flickered in abandoned buildings. And in the darkness, shadows moved, watching, waiting. Lyron could feel it in her bones. This was only the beginning. Humans had vanished silently, but their departure left a puzzle, a danger, and perhaps a trap. The council was stepping into unknown territory, a world where even their greatest wisdom might not be enough. As the council prepared to act, the first scout ships readied themselves for departure. Engines hummed softly, ready to pierce the silent city. The map glowed on the hologram, pointing to a central location. Every member of the council felt the weight of the unknown pressing upon them. And deep in the shadows of the abandoned city, something, human or not, moved again, unseen, its intentions hidden. The council had made their choice. But the choice itself might have been exactly what the Watchers had been waiting for. The scout ships rose silently from the council hall, cutting through the thick mist that hung over the city. Their sleek frames glinted faintly in the dim light of the empty streets below. Inside, the council's appointed scouts, a group of skilled observers, prepared for what they knew could be dangerous. Lyran watched the holographic feed from the hall, her heart pounding. The streets below were empty but not lifeless. Shadows flickered across alleyways. Strange lights pulsed inside abandoned buildings. The city seemed to be awake and aware. "Keep sensors active," Kale instructed. "Every corner, every building. Do not ignore anything." The scouts moved carefully, their eyes scanning for any sign of movement. For hours they found little, empty homes, abandoned vehicles, flickering streetlights, but always there was a feeling that something was following them. Something unseen. Then, in the ruins of a once busy square, the first strange discovery appeared. A series of human devices, still powered and operating, formed a pattern that no scout could immediately understand. Machines hummed softly, their lights blinking in a rhythmic sequence. "Is this a message?" one scout whispered. "Or a trap?" Lyran leaned closer to the feed. "It's too deliberate to be random. Humans, or whoever left this, want us to see it." The scouts moved closer to investigate. As they approached, the machines suddenly emitted a loud pulse of light, and a holographic map appeared in the air. Buildings, streets, and unknown locations were highlighted, connected by lines that formed a strange symbol. Kale frowned. "This is more than a message. It's a guide. Or a warning." Suddenly one of the scouts screamed. The signal had disappeared as quickly as it appeared. The city grew eerily quiet again. When the council members looked closer at the feed, they saw something terrifying. One scout was gone. No trace, no signal, nothing. Lyran's hand went to her mouth. What happened to him?" she whispered. Theros's face was grim. "We are not alone. Whatever remains in this city, it is intelligent. And it does not want us to find everything." The remaining scouts pressed forward, but tension was high. Every shadow, every flicker of light seemed dangerous. The abandoned city, once familiar, now felt like a living trap. In a narrow alley they discovered more machines. This time they moved on their own, rearranging themselves into patterns that suggested movement or communication. The scouts' sensors detected energy readings far beyond anything humans should have been capable of. Kale's voice was tight with fear. "These machines, they are learning. Adapting. They are alive somehow." As they explored, more strange phenomena appeared. Doors opened and closed by themselves. Staircases shifted slightly as if the city itself were rearranging. Shadows flickered at the edge of the scout's vision, always just out of reach. Back in the council hall, Lyran's hands shook as she watched the feed. "It's not just humans we are dealing with," she said. "Something else, something dangerous, is here." Theros's eyes narrowed. "We knew the humans' disappearance would leave questions. But I did not expect this. They left more than absence. They left a warning. And we are the ones who have to answer it." The remaining scouts reached the city center, where the human signal seemed strongest. Machines formed a perfect circle around a single towering building. Energy crackled along its walls, and the air seemed to hum with anticipation. One scout stepped closer. A low mechanical growl echoed through the square. Shadows moved around them, faster than human eyes could track. The scouts froze. "Get back," one yelled. But it was too late. The ground trembled. A sudden pulse of energy shot from the building, washing over the scouts. Their sensors went haywire. And then the feed went dark. The council hall erupted in panic. Lyran slammed her hands on the console. "They're in trouble. We have to help them." Theros raised his hand, but his voice was calm, though grim. "We cannot rush blindly. The humans vanished for a reason. Their city is not empty. It is dangerous. Whatever awaits the scouts, they are now part of the lesson humans left behind." Outside, the city seemed to pulse with life. Lights blinked like eyes, shadows stretched like claws, and somewhere deep in the buildings, movement shifted in patterns too precise to be random. The council realized the terrifying truth. Humans had left behind more than technology. They had left a city that was alive, aware, and possibly waiting for the next move of anyone bold, or foolish, enough to enter it. Lyran swallowed hard. "The humans are gone," she whispered, "but what they left, it's watching us." And in the shadows of the abandoned streets, something moved silently, waiting, calculating, and patient. The council had sent their scouts into the unknown. And the unknown had already begun to fight back. The council hall was tense. The feed from the scouts had gone dark hours ago, leaving the members staring at blank screens. Every second stretched like a lifetime. Lyran could feel her pulse in her ears. Something in the city had taken the scouts, or worse, and now the council had no choice but to decipher what humans had left behind. Kale moved quickly, analyzing the faint signals that remained in the city's network. Strange symbols flickered across his holograms. They were patterns, codes, messages, but not like anything the council had seen before. These symbols, Kale muttered. They are deliberate. Humans left this, for someone. For us, maybe. The roast leaned in, eyes sharp. Humans always plan. They vanish silently, yes, but they never leave without a reason. What is this warning? Lyran studied the hologram. Lines connected dots, forming a network pointing to key locations across the empty city. Some dots were flashing rapidly, almost like pulses of life. Others were static, like silent sentinels. It's a map, she said slowly. Humans left us a map, but not just a map. It's a warning. Something dangerous is here. They prepared this for anyone who might come after them. The council members exchanged uneasy glances. The idea that humans had predicted this moment, and left traps or guidance behind, was frightening. Humans had always been clever, but this was beyond anything they had imagined. Kale tapped a section of the hologram. There's a location here. Central City, it's pulsing with energy. Whoever built this, left something important there. Or maybe, something dangerous. Theras's voice was low and controlled, but carried a weight that silenced the room. We cannot ignore it. Whatever humans left, it could save the city, or destroy it. Either way we must find out. Lyran's heart pounded. The council had debated risk and caution before, but now the stakes had grown higher. The city had already proven it could react, adapt, and even attack. Every move from the council might trigger unknown consequences. Then, on the hologram, a pattern shifted. Lines moved like liquid, connecting one dot to another in a series of precise steps. Lyran realized the symbols weren't random, they were instructions. Humans had left guidance for navigating their city safely, maybe even to uncover the truth behind their disappearance. Kale frowned. If this is true, humans wanted us to succeed. But why? Were they afraid? Were they testing us? The roast shook his head. We cannot know their intentions. We only know the result. Humans are gone. And what they left is alive. Intelligent. Dangerous. Lyran looked at him, a chill running through her spine. Alive? She whispered. Do you mean, the city? Theras's eyes darkened. Yes. Humans disappeared, but the city did not. Their machines, their technology, it is aware. It adapts, it reacts. We have seen it with our own eyes. Suddenly, a faint pulse of energy appeared on the map. The council watched in silence as a new signal emerged, an unknown source far more powerful than the previous ones. The city had a center, a heart, and something, or someone, was waiting there. Lyran's hands shook. They're leading us somewhere, she said softly. Or, they want to warn us about something. But whatever it is, it's important. Kale nodded. We have to go. The city is a puzzle. Humans left clues, signs, traps, all designed to test or guide us. Every second we wait, we risk missing something crucial. The roast stood, pacing slowly. We proceed carefully. Every step must be deliberate. The humans vanished for a reason. And what they left behind, will judge every move we make. The council began to prepare. Maps, sensors, and communications devices hummed to life. The hall was filled with a low vibration as the council readied themselves to enter the heart of the city. Outside, the empty streets pulsed faintly as if aware of the council's plans. Shadows shifted in abandoned alleyways. Lights flickered like eyes watching from the darkness. And in the distance, a soft hum, growing louder with every moment, seemed to signal that the city itself had noticed the council's intent. Lyran stared at the city through the hall's large window. Humans may be gone, she whispered. But whatever they left, it's still alive. And it's waiting for us to make the first move. Theras's gaze hardened. Then we move. Slowly. Carefully. But we move. The secrets humans left. They are the key to understanding everything. And if we fail, the consequences will not be theirs. They will be ours. The council took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the unknown pressing down upon them. They were stepping into a world humans had vanished from, a city alive with hidden intelligence, and a puzzle that could either save them, or destroy them. And somewhere, deep in the shadows of the abandoned city, unseen eyes watched their every preparation, calculating the council's next step with silent patience. The council had been preparing for hours. Sensors were checked, maps analyzed and every precaution taken. Yet even as they readied themselves, a quiet unease hung in the air. Something was wrong, not in the city but within their own ranks. Cale noticed it first. A set of coordinates had been altered on one of the holographic maps. At first he thought it was a glitch. But when he checked again, the change was deliberate. Someone had tampered with the path they were supposed to follow. "The Rose," he said quietly, "someone changed the map." The oldest council member's eyes narrowed. "Changed it? Who would?" He stopped mid-sentence, sensing something deeper. Lyran checked the logs. "Every access. I want to know who did this." Lyran's fingers flew across the controls. Her heart pounded as she traced the digital fingerprints left behind. And then she found it. "It's one of us," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Someone inside the council is working against us." Silence fell over the room. Every council member froze, realizing the gravity of the betrayal. To have an enemy within their own ranks was far worse than the unknown dangers of the city. Theras's hand clenched into a fist. "We must confront this. If the wrong steps are taken, the consequences will be catastrophic. Humans left warnings for the city, yes, but nothing prepared us for a traitor among us." Cale's voice was tense. "We can't let this delay us. The city is alive. It reacts. Every second wasted, the risks grow." Lyran swallowed hard. "Then we do this carefully. We watch, we move, and we uncover the traitor before they can sabotage everything." Hours passed. The council divided into pairs, monitoring each other as well as the city. Suspicion grew with every passing minute. Every gesture, every glance, every movement was questioned. Trust evaporated like mist in the air. And then, just as the council prepared to move toward the coordinates, disaster struck. One of the council members, a figure who had seemed loyal, tampered with a sensor array. Machines in the hall began to fail. The energy grids flickered violently. The holographic maps warped and twisted, feeding false information. It was subtle, but enough to mislead the council into danger. Lyran shouted, "Stop. This isn't right." But the traitor moved swiftly, overriding controls before anyone could intervene. The room plunged into darkness for a moment. When lights returned, Cale gasped. "The city, it's reacting. The machines out there, they're responding to us differently now. The path is dangerous." Theras's eyes burned with anger. A trap, yes, but compounded by betrayal. "We are not only fighting the unknown, we are fighting ourselves." Lyran's hands shook as she realized the traitor had a plan. By redirecting the council, the traitor could control which parts of the city they would face, and possibly doom them. The traitor, calm and collected, finally revealed their intent. "You are too cautious," they said. "Humans are gone and we have an opportunity to take their power. Why risk ourselves for warnings and traps? We can control what remains." The council members stared in shock. Their own colleague had turned ambition into danger, risking everyone's lives for personal gain. Theras's voice was low but deadly. "You will not succeed. We face the unknown together, or not at all." The tension in the hall was thick, almost unbearable. Every council member understood the stakes. They were not just navigating a city left alive and dangerous by humans, they were also navigating treachery from within. Lyran gritted her teeth. "We need to isolate them," she said firmly. "If the city reacts to the traitor, we will all be lost. We have to act carefully and swiftly." Outside, the city seemed to sense the betrayal. Lights flickered in patterns, shadows shifted with unusual speed, and the faint hum of energy grew louder. The pulse of the city was erratic now, almost angry, as if it were aware of the discord among the council. Cale's hands hovered over the controls. "The scout team would have been lost without our caution. If we fail to contain this traitor, the consequences will be worse than anything humans left behind." The Rose nodded grimly. "Then we act. One wrong move, and the city itself may turn against us. Remember this. Everything humans left is a puzzle, and every choice has consequences." Lyran took a deep breath, her mind racing. The betrayal had shaken them, but it had also strengthened their resolve. They would move forward, not just to uncover human secrets, but to survive the city and the traitor within. And somewhere in the darkness of the abandoned streets, unseen eyes watched the council's every move. The city waited, alive and patient. The game had grown even more dangerous, and only those clever enough to navigate both betrayal and the unknown could hope to survive. The council moved cautiously through the city, every step echoing against the empty buildings. The air was thick with tension, and every shadow seemed alive. The betrayal within their ranks had made them alert, but nothing could have prepared them for what awaited at the city's heart. Lyron's eyes scanned the streets. Strange lights pulsed from abandoned machines, flickering in patterns she had never seen. The city seemed to breathe, its energy flowing through the streets and alleys like a living organism. Kale whispered, "The humans left more than warnings. They left a defense, or a test. We are walking into something alive." The roast nodded, his gaze fixed ahead. "Keep your focus. Remember, every device, every signal could be a threat, or a clue." As they approached the city center, the strange machines increased in number. They moved silently, rearranging themselves into intricate patterns, forming walls, barriers, and corridors. The council navigated carefully, following the faint pulsing signals humans had left behind. Suddenly the air shifted. Energy crackled along the ground. The city responded to their presence, almost as if it could sense their intentions. Shadows flickered across walls, moving in ways that defied explanation. One of the council members gasped. "It's adapting. The city is learning our moves." Lyron's heart raced. Every instinct screamed danger. Yet, at the same time, the signals guided them forward toward a towering structure at the center, a building unlike anything humans had ever made. Its walls shimmered with light, and strange machines floated around it, humming with energy. "This is it," the roast said, his voice low. "The heart of the city. Whatever humans left, it is here." As they entered, the building's energy pulsed stronger, reacting to their presence. Holographic symbols appeared in the air, showing images of humans, machines, and strange devices. It was a history, a warning, and a guide, all at once. Kale moved closer to the holograms. "Humans prepared this for whoever followed them. They knew we would come. They wanted to teach us, or test us." Suddenly, the machines around them shifted violently. Energy pulses shot toward the council, forcing them to dodge. Shadows danced along the walls, moving faster than human eyes could track. The city was no longer just alive, it was defending itself. Lyron felt a shiver run down her spine. It's not just a warning. It's alive, and it's aware of us." The council regrouped, realizing that the only way forward was to interact with the technology carefully. One wrong step could trigger a catastrophic reaction. The roast stepped forward, placing his hands on a glowing console. Symbols glowed brighter, responding to his touch. "Humans left instructions," he said. "We must follow them exactly. Any deviation, and we may never leave this place alive." The council worked together, decoding the signals, moving through corridors that shifted in real time, avoiding traps and activating machines. Each step revealed more about the humans, their intelligence, their foresight, and their understanding of danger. But then a low rumble shook the building. Machines around them began moving aggressively, as if the city had sensed hesitation. A shadow passed through the hallway, faster than anything they had seen. Lyron's pulse quickened. Kale shouted, "We're close. Keep moving." Finally, they reached a central chamber, glowing with energy. In its center floated a massive, pulsating device. Holographic images of humans appeared around it, showing a warning. The device was both a key and a test. Only those who understood the humans' intentions could interact safely. The roast exhaled slowly. "This is it. The humans' final message, their secret. If we fail, everything is lost. But if we succeed, we may understand why they vanished and what dangers they left behind." The council moved cautiously toward the device, every member aware that the city watched their every action. The unknown had become tangible, alive, and more dangerous than they had imagined. Outside, the city pulsed with energy, shadows moving like silent guardians. The test was not over. The humans were gone, yes, but their legacy remained, alive, aware, and waiting to judge every choice the council would make. Lyron whispered, "The humans are gone, but the city is not. And whatever they left, it is ready for us." The chamber hummed with anticipation. The council had reached the heart of the city. Now they would face the consequences of every decision, and every mistake. The council stood in the heart of the city, staring at the pulsating device that seemed alive. Energy flowed through it like liquid light, and the holographic images of humans flickered around them, silently watching, warning, judging. Every breath they took felt heavy, every movement measured. The roast stepped forward first, his hand hovering over the glowing console. "This is it," he said quietly. "Humans disappeared for a reason. Everything we do here will have consequences. Choose wisely." Lyron's eyes scanned the chamber. The city's energy pulsed in rhythm with the device. It was as if the building itself was alive, waiting to see their actions. The shadows flickered along the walls, moving faster than ever before, observing, calculating. Kale's voice was tense. The humans left a test. We have to follow their instructions exactly. One wrong step, and the city could destroy us or worse. The council divided their tasks carefully. Some deciphered the symbols on the device, while others monitored the energy patterns of the chamber. Every small error triggered alarms, pulses of energy that made the walls hum and the shadows dart faster. Suddenly, the traitor from the council acted. Attempting to seize control of the device, they reached for the console. Instantly, a shockwave of energy erupted from the device, throwing the traitor back against the walls. Sparks flew, and the shadows reacted violently, surrounding the council member. The council gasped. Theros's voice was stern. This is what happens when greed interferes with wisdom. Humans warned us and the city responded. Learn from this. Lyran swallowed hard, stepping closer to the device. She carefully followed the patterns, her hands tracing the holographic symbols. Slowly, deliberately, she input the correct sequence, aligning the energy flows and stabilizing the chamber. The shadows paused as if acknowledging her actions. The city's pulse became steady, calmer. The glowing device emitted a soft hum, no longer aggressive but welcoming. Kale exhaled in relief. It's working. The city recognizes our intent. We are not intruders. We are observers and learners. The roast nodded slowly. Humans left more than warnings. They left a challenge. They wanted to see if anyone could navigate their disappearance responsibly. We succeeded, but we were tested. Lyran glanced around at the council. Some members were shaken, others solemn. The traitor had been defeated, but the lesson was clear. Ambition and recklessness could bring disaster even in the absence of humans. Outside, the city began to settle. Lights dimmed to a soft glow. Shadows receded into hidden corners. The energy pulse softened, almost like a heartbeat returning to normal. The council could feel that the city had acknowledged their careful approach. The Rose stepped back, speaking to all. The humans are gone, yes. But what they left behind, their technology, their intelligence, their foresight, it is alive. And it will endure. We have seen the consequences of actions taken without wisdom. Remember this lesson always. Lyran whispered, humans vanished silently, but they left a legacy. And we are part of it now. The council exited the